Hello, Year 7. It's Mr. Mayers returning again to continue your learning about Islam. Today, we're going to be learning about mosques, which are the buildings that Muslims worship in. For today's lesson, there are quite a few videos and worksheets in the shared area that on the link for Go for Schools, but I'm going to deliver the lesson in such a way that really, if you just watch this video and have a bit of paper, then that will be enough to get you through the lesson. So don't worry, I haven't got a printer, so I can't expect all you guys to have printers. The ink would cost a fortune. Anyway, so we're going to start the lesson by, I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see this PowerPoint about the mosque. Hopefully that is now visible to you. And yeah, so this is lesson 5 and it's all about mosques, and I'll give you a chance to just go and get a pen and some paper, maybe pause it while you get that sorted out. If you do want to print the sheets, just decide now whether you want to do a 2D mosque later on or a 3D one, and print the relevant templates. There's 2 options in the folder, 2D and a 3D. And also, if you want to print out the worksheet, you can print out the worksheet. But if you don't want to print out the worksheet, don't you worry. I'll just talk you through how you can just do that on paper. Okay, let's get started. So today you are going to be learning firstly some features of a mosque, and then later on you'll be reflecting on how mosques play an important part in the community for Muslims. So by the end, if you can say 3 things about a mosque and explain the features of one to some other people, then that's really good. Also, we're going to tell you what are the 3 holy cities of Islam. I bet from your knowledge of Islam, you could probably have a go at saying what the 3 holy cities of Islam are, but if not, don't worry, we'll go through that later. And then by the end, you'll hopefully be able to explain the benefits and uses of a mosque for Muslims, okay? And how some of the features are used, like a minaret, a mihrab, and a minbar. So the key words, like I just said, mainly begin with M. Look, these are the things that I just need to move myself out of the way a bit. Put it down here. There we go. So, yeah, mosques, as you can see behind me, have lots of different features. So the minaret is this tower here, where, and it's on the minaret that muezzin stands and does the call to prayer. I might be able to play you a call to prayer sound later on, but also a mihrab is the part of a wall which shows what direction Mecca is in. Like you might remember a couple of lessons ago when we did the 5 pillars, I showed you my Muslim prayer mat, and that had a compass on it to show the direction of Mecca. But as long as you're in a mosque, you don't need that, because the mihrab is like an alcove in the wall that shows you what direction Mecca is. And then also there's a minbar, which is a seat where an imam would sit and recite passages from the Quran or give a talk to educate people about it. So have a little think now of a place that is very special to you. How do you show respect for that place? What do you do when you're there? How do you treat it? So for example, I'm going to think of somewhere I quite like, even though I don't go there anywhere near often enough. I quite like going to the library in the down in Norwich, and it's a massive library. It's called the Forum, and I just sometimes like going and sitting in there. They've got a little cafe in there as well, like a sort of bar area down the bottom, so you can get some books out of the library and then sit in the bit underneath. And I quite like being around in the library because it's a really peaceful place, and yeah, I feel very calm there. So have a little think about a place where you like to go, and it might not be the library like me, but then you're probably not a religious studies teacher, so you've probably got more exciting places to go to. But have a little think and pause this and maybe jot down some ideas, explain it to someone in your household, and then see you back in a second. Okay, so welcome back. As explained a few minutes ago, a mosque is a building used by Muslims for worship. They have similar features in that we've just explained. And before Muslims go to pray in the mosque, they also enter a place to cleanse themselves. This is a spiritual cleansing, which is called wudu, and it's a place where Muslims go to make sure that they are physically and therefore spiritually clean before they embark on their worship. Some mosques also have libraries where they might have lots of books about Islamic spirituality, and they may also have extra rooms where they will have events and functions, and particularly weddings might be held in there. When a Muslim enters a mosque, they will take their shoes off and leave them in a rack outside, and then it's just a part of being as clean as possible when you go in to pray. A bit like how I showed you that Muslims have a prayer mat to kneel on when they pray on the go, and that's just because when you're in the presence of God in your mind, it's better to be physically and therefore spiritually clean. I know I can't concentrate when I'm all grubby and dirty, so I always feel better after having a quick shower and stuff. And so I think if that is for just general life, then imagine how much more important it is to be like that in your spiritual life. In a mosque, you won't find seats to sit on. You won't find rows of seats like in a church called pews. There won't be statues, pictures of God, nothing like that. Everyone just sits on the floor because it's a sign of equality. And often in mosques, you might find that the carpets are divided into really neat rectangles, and that's to mark out a place for each individual to occupy while they're praying. So if you've ever seen a video of lots of Muslims praying all at the same time in a big mosque prayer hall, you might see that you might be amazed and think, how do they get so well arranged into rows to pray? And the answer is they have those sort of rectangles to mark out a space for each worshipper. Anyway, it's time to watch a video about this. I'm just going to move myself up here and out of the way again. And just watch this. These videos are also in the sort of area on the shared drive. But again, like I said, if you want to just do the lesson based on this video, you don't really need to look much in there because you can watch it throughout using this PowerPoint.
Well, Kaisten's old enough to perform Salat, the Muslim prayer ritual, 5 times a day. Like all Muslims, before he prays or touches the Muslim holy book, the Quran, he makes sure he's clean. This is the washing ritual, wudu.
So first, turn it up and wash your right hand 3 times up to the wrist, and then your left 3 times up to the wrist. You then gurgle some water in your mouth 3 times. You then sniff some water in your nose. After that, you wash your face from your forehead to your earlobes to your chin. You wash your arms onto your elbow, your right hand first, then your left hand 3 times. You then wipe your head all the way and come back down, and you can put some water in your ear, and then you go to washing your foot. It's important to be clean for prayer because prayer is a form of speaking to God. So you want to be clean with Him because He is the Creator, so He deserves to be worshipped clean. So right foot first up to your ankle. Make sure that the water touches in between your toes and your ankle. You are now ready to pray or to do other certain acts of worship where you need to be purified.
Okay, so as you can see that Muslims have that sort of routine that every time they enter into the mosque, they consider it a sacred space, deserving of respect. And so that's why they make sure that they follow that ritual. It's not technically part of the worship, I suppose, but the ritualistic cleansing is sort of, it's almost like a part of the routine of worship as well. Anyway, the first mosque built during the life of Muhammad was the Quba Mosque, which is on the outskirts of the city of Medina in Saudi Arabia. Remember that Medina is where Muhammad was exiled to before returning to Mecca, in order to sort of take back the city for monotheistic Muslims. But now today it's a massively impressive building with lots of modern stuff, but originally it was just a mud hut. Later on, when you see another video, you'll see how some mosques are very elaborate, but some are very simple, and it doesn't really matter. Even the more elaborate ones are still quite simple overall because they're simply just a space to know what direction to worship in. Okay, so can you guess at least one place where the most important Islamic mosques are? Think about what you've learned so far about Islam, and there are 3 major places for Muslims. Have a little think and pause the video. Maybe I'm going to get Cordelia to have a little think about that as well. She might know. Come and look. Do you know the 3 most important places for Muslims to have mosques? No, she's getting a bit annoyed about being picked up. She still wants to just sit on my legs though, which is a little bit inconsiderate. Right, should we give him the answers? Okay, so the 3 most important places for Muslims are Mecca, because it's the birthplace of Muhammad and pretty much where Islam was founded, and where on the outskirts of which Muhammad received the initial revelations from Allah. Okay, so your first main task of this lesson is the main lesson objective is to be able to describe the features of a mosque. So here we begin with what you will normally find on the outside of a mosque. 2 external features. The most common ones are the minaret. Already mentioned that because it's the tower from which the call to prayer is heard. But also most mosques will also have a dome as well. sometimes mosques might not have either of these things, but they're the common features on the outside. So, for example, in non-Muslim countries where mosques have been created in adapted buildings, it might be an old church or an old community building or something like that. So it won't have those features. But inside, mosques always have a prayer hall, and it's usually, well, it's almost always the largest room in the mosque. You might remember back to the Islamic art lesson where we learned about the common features of Islamic art. So often there will be geometric patterns inside the mosque, and also Arabic writing, bold colours. You know, they decorate the mosques really well. On one side, hang on, I went too far. I keep getting in the way. I don't know how to make this go away. Let's put it right up there. There we go. On one side is the minbar, and this is where sermons are given. Usually that's nicely decorated as well, and it's just a platform or like a little chair on top of some stairs. The mihrab is important because it shows the direction of Mecca. It's usually just an alcove in the wall, and it's where the imam leads the prayers. And because everybody's facing that way, because Muslims always pray facing Mecca. The dome is good because it gives a feeling of open space and allows the voice of the imam to resonate around the prayer room. And yeah, the dome help the voice carry, but obviously now with technology it's not always needed, but now they are really impressive structurally and they really look nice. So using these pictures, your first main task is to write one paragraph which includes all 6 main features of a mosque. Okay, so remember, try and write your paragraph in full sentences and use it to explain what you would normally find in a mosque. And these 6 pictures will help you. Just pause the video now and just press play when you're ready to carry on. Right, welcome back. How did you do? Did you get all 6? So here we go. Top left is the minaret. This is the washroom where wudu is performed. This picture on the top right was the mihrab. Bottom left is the dome, the prayer hall, the middle one, and the minbar is on the bottom right. Well done if you got all those correct and remembered the right words. If not, just adapt it and customize it and improve your work. So the next main task then is to open the document called Lesson 5. I think it's called Worksheet. And you will find a description of a mosque in the top part of the page. And all you need to do for that task is to read the description and use it to create a floor plan of a mosque. Using the paragraph that you've just written, this paragraph here is kind of like what a really good one might look like. So you can either use that one or your own if it's awesome. And then simply use it to create a floor plan of a mosque, labeling the different main features of the mosque. And then when you finish that one, have a go at either copying out this table, or if you've got a printer, print out the worksheet. Or alternatively, if you don't like getting a ruler out and doing lots of lines and things, you could just write one sentence about each of the features there. Essentially, the table is just kind of dividing it up into a sentence. So, for example, the top one my eyes can't see it very well because it's so little on there, but it might say the Mihrab. This is used to show people the way to Mecca. Why is this important to Muslims? Because Mecca is the birthplace of Muhammad and the birthplace of the religion, and it's important that they face that direction when they pray. So, that's one sentence about that one. So you could write it in sentences, which is totally fine. And then when you've done that, the next task is to have a go at, or just remember how mosques are decorated. So you can see that on these images down here that lots of geometric patterns are used, like we spoke about before. So, if you haven't got a printer to print out the sheet, just have a go at just writing down some of the notes on plain paper or whatever you've got to hand. So next is some information. The next slides contain a bit of information about how mosques are used in the daily lives of Muslims. So as you might remember from a few lessons ago, Muslims pray 5 times each day, and they can either pray in their homes, but many will go to mosques, the mosque for one or more of those prayer sessions. But Muslims also use the mosque as a school. They have classes, they teach young people and adults how to read the Quran in the original Arabic, or they might just teach them about Islam in general, how to follow the religion, how to follow all the 5 pillars, how to live a good life. Some Muslims also get married in a mosque, and also certain elements of funeral preparation are there too. So the mosque is an important hub for the Muslim community. Some Muslims also spend more time at the mosque during Ramadan, and it's a bit difficult for some Muslims this year because Ramadan was closed, because the mosques were closed during the Ramadan time. So this boy decided to make his own mosque in his house. Have a quick look at this video clip because it's quite interesting how he's done it. And oops, it's not working. Hang on. Click play. Here it is.
Hi, my name is Yahya, and I'd like to welcome you to my mosque. We'll start off on the outside, and then I guess we'll make our way into the inside. We'll start with the doorway then. Here we have got some Islamic geometry to make my doorway look very nice. Here we have painted a dome green with brickwork. For the brickwork, we started off with pencil lines and then we painted over it. Here we have a minaret with some more Islamic geometry. If we move on to this wall, we have some more mini green domes and some fairy lights. And if you look on the bottom, you see we have got slits in the cardboard, and they put pieces of cardboard in those slits which act as feet or stabilizers. Here we have got the windows carved out of cardboard, and we stuck quality street rafters onto the back of them to act as stained glass. We've got the feet repeat, the windows repeat, and then we get to the toes. Now if we move on to the inside, we have my light box and my books. And here we have my drum and some more fairy lights. Hope you enjoy your stay. Bye.
Okay, so what a great kid. And what great commitment to making a mosque in his front room. However, I don't expect you folks to do that, because the people you live with might have something to say if you turn the living room into a giant mosque. However, your main challenge then is to have a go at making a model of a mosque. There are options here. You could do a 2D one, and if you wanted to do that, you can either print off the sheet in the folder that says 2D mosque, and have a go at decorating it, have a go at creating a pattern to make that look really great, using Islamic art techniques that you learnt last lesson. Or alternatively, if you're feeling really ambitious, you could print off the 3D mosque template and decorate that and create it. You can see on the images here how that might look, and this is a really good one from previous years. When you cut it out, I think it looks a bit like that bottom middle picture, and then when you decorate it and stick it all together, it looks like this. We'd love to see some of those if you want to send some of them in. If you wanted to do one, if like me you have no printer, and so you don't want to do the 3D but you do want to do the 2D one, well, actually you could probably do both. Simply do what I did in the previous lesson and get the image of the one that you want to do on your laptop, and then hold a plain bit of A4 paper over the image and just lightly, just don't jab it because you'll stab your monitor or your laptop screen, but just lightly use a pencil to trace over those patterns, and then that will help you to do it. Or if you don't want to do that, just get a plain bit of paper and just decorate and draw your own mosque outline and template. Just have a go at doing something like that, because it will remind you of the different elements of a mosque, and it will remind you from last lesson what the main features of Islamic art are. So have a go at doing that. That's just what that one looks like, and that's just what the trickier one looks like. So even if you've got it on a phone, you might be able to trace over that one there. You never know. But have a go and see what you can do. It's a bit of a challenge. So time, well, if you pause it now and then come back in a bit when you've done that, and because we've got two more things just to show you before the lesson's finished. The first thing is the review. Can you say at least 3 things about a mosque and how it is used and how respect is shown for a mosque? If you can, great. You've played a blinder of a lesson. Can you name the 3 holy cities of Islam? Mecca, Medina, and Jerusalem are probably the ones you're thinking. Good. And could you explain the benefits of a mosque for Muslims and what they kind of do there? Do you remember where the first mosque was built? Do you remember what a minaret and a mihrab and a minbar are and whereabouts they are in the mosque? If you can, again, you've done really well. So the final thing, well, there's 2 final things actually. First one is there's another video in the folder that you could watch if you wanted to, and that goes into some extra detail about how Muslims use mosques in the community, and that could be quite interesting, so you could watch that. And there's another video as well about some of the most unusual and remarkable mosques that have been created, and I'm just going to end this YouTube video by just going back to that and just playing that video so that you can watch it here. It's 20 of the most unusual mosques from around the world, so have a look. Some of them do look incredible. And I'll sign off at this point and see you next time. I think there's about 1 or 2 more lessons this year about Islam, and hope you're enjoying them so far.
روحي وصار الدمع يجري يا إلهي خذ بقلبي من رشادي أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد وانتشت روحي وصار الدمع يجري يا إلهي خذ بقلبي للرشاد أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد وانتشت روحي وصار الدمع يجري يا إلهي خذ بقلبي للرشاد في سكون الليل يدعو في سجودي والدجى حولي سواد في سوادي يا رؤوفا يا رحيما يا حليما يا كريما عن فضلك من نثاري يا سميعا يا مجيبا يا عظيما أهدني يا خالق السبع الشهاد أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد وانتشت روحي وصار الدمع يجري يا إلهي خذ بقلبي للرشاد أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد وانتشت روحي وصار الدمع يجري يا إلهي خذ بقلبي للرشاد للهدى والحق وفقني إلهي فعلى توفيقك اليوم اعتمادي يا إله الكون يعوني وأودي يا ملاذ الخلق في يوم المعاد.
Okay, so that brings the lesson to a close. I hope you've enjoyed learning about mosques and have created some excellent designs, 2D or 3D. Don't forget to, if you want to email pictures of what you've done today to your teacher, feel free to do that. And all the best, and I'll speak to you in a couple of weeks. All right, bye.